So everyone will be leaving with a day pass for the rest spot. So you can pick whatever time works for you and come back and enjoy this beautiful space. So yes, we thank you, Jenna, for that, for giving that to everyone. So we first I thought it was going to be a few of y'all, but I'm glad that the whole room gets it. So
That's good. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, everyone, my name is Tajala Kelly. I'm a journalist here in Atlanta. And I'm excited to be here. So thank you guys for joining us and Dr. Garside for the book signing. And so we're going to go ahead and get into it.
let's do it.
So, we already talked before.
Yes.
And the last time we talked, you told me you were probably at an 18 when I told you to rate your day. So where we are today?
Today, we're going to go ahead and give it a 20 today.
I love it. I love it.
Full energy today.
Okay. So let's get right into it. So first, let's start with the book, The Power of Your Pause, the title.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about what the pause is, because most people, when they hear pause, they think doing nothing. So talk about what the pause is.
So the pause can look different for everyone, but the pause is really taking a moment to reset, to check in on yourself, to give yourself time. I think we are so conditioned to the hustle and bustle of life that we forget those moments. And so I don't want it to be simple in a way of like, oh, I'm just going to take a break. Like, I really want it to be a thing. Mm-hmm. And so the pause is like making it a thing where you take that time and you allow yourself, whatever that looks like, whatever space you need, to actually sit with yourself, sit in that moment and be present, but also acknowledging what you need.
I love that. Now, earlier you talked about the pass that everyone is going to get here at the rest spot. And I actually had the pleasure of visiting the rest spot myself a few months ago. And it was amazing. I was right in that room over there, asleep. So talk about how important it is to have a space like this for women to come and rest and do exactly what, your book is talking about, pause and rest.
Yes. So I think it's important because we don't recover enough, right? We give out a lot, but we don't create space to recover. Mm-hmm. And when we think about, being motivated by so much productivity around us, when we look at rest, we don't look at it like it's productive. Mm-hmm. But rest is that. It is giving you something you need. It is helping your body recover. And so having somewhere where you can go is amazing, because I think sometimes we want to make it a thing. So this is your space to make it a thing, right? Where you can plan your day, mm-hmm. where you can say, you know what, I'm disconnecting, having somewhere to go, because sometimes we want to leave the house. Sometimes we don't always have a full weekend to go somewhere, out of town or come back. And so this space can be that for you.
And what happens when women specifically finally feel safe enough to slow down and rest?
I mean, so many things happen. So your capacity increases. What you can give out increases, but also what you give to yourself. I think that there's a difference between can we do it all and do we need to do it all? And so it's really retraining ourselves to, you don't need to do it all. And that is where the rest comes in and the pause comes in a way of this is a part of that, right? This is a part of doing. It's giving you something. And I think when we look at it, we have to change the way we look at it to then give room for it.
Mm-hmm. Now I know there's a couple men in here, but I'm talking to the women right now. I'm like, we in here too. But right now we looking at a room full of women. So you have mothers, wives, business owners, women that carry so many things. So what would you say to a woman that says, I can't stop, like I have a lot going on, my kids are depending on me, my family's depending on me? What would you say to them?
I will say that it's never going to be a perfect time, but also if you're not here, none of that matters. And so when we don't rest, we don't restore, we don't recover, we don't increase the capacity to be able to give. And so when you rest, they get the better version of you. Mm-hmm. When you stop, they get the best of you. And so you're doing it not only for yourself, but for everyone that's an extension of you.
And why do you feel like women feel guilty for taking that risk?
We're just conditioned that way. It's society. We're conditioned in a way of, we feel shame and guilt, or people make you feel that way of, oh, well, you should be with your kids, or you should be with your family, instead of like, in order for me to do all that, though, I need to step away. I need to go take care of myself, and owning that.
Okay. Now let's talk about The Power of Your Pause. Mm-hmm. Again, one thing I love is the title. Just the power of your pause, talking about it makes you think before even opening the book, like, what am I about to get into?
Yes.
So, one thing I wanted to ask, I know that every book has a chapter. Like you have that chapter where it's like, it's about to get real in this part. So is there a chapter in the book that you're like, okay, when you get here, slow down. It's about to take it, make you cry a little bit.
You know, I think so. So each chapter makes you think, but chapter 4 is the pause as a mirror. And the reason why that chapter does exactly what you just said is because that mirror is showing you exactly either what you've been running from, exactly what you need, exactly what's been hiding under there. And in that chapter, we talk about what that stillness uncovers and how it really reveals to you things that you need to do for yourself, or just it allows you to really be present and say, okay, so when I move forward, when I'm done with this pause, here's how I want to move forward. Like, here's what I want to take and do differently.
Okay. Now I know sometimes people probably forget that authors, they don't just write books, sometimes they live them. So my question for you, as you were writing the book, did you ever have to pause and take a minute and actually practice what you preach, what you write in your book?
Absolutely. So I wrote the book while writing my dissertation. And so that was probably one of the most stressful periods of my life. Okay. Besides giving birth, baby, that might be number 2. But in that, there were very big moments in that where I had to stop and take a pause, and I had to learn to regroup. I had to learn to care for myself. I had to walk away and come back to it. And so, yes, every chapter it resonates with me because I've done those things, those very things along the way, even before that, but during that, definitely. And while writing the book, it was okay, you got this down. Now step away and come back to it, right, with a fresh thought, or just with a clear mind and being able to do that.
Okay. Would you say that this book changed you? Like, do you feel that you're the same woman that you were writing it, that you are after the book is done?
Did it change me? I think it made me more aware of how much I need to like live and embody what I write in a way of I want to be an example, right? So it made me more aware of that, but it also made me, I think, more aware of this, just how many people need the space to do it. I think there's a lot of us that don't have enough of that space.
Okay. Now, if everyone in the room had time to read one chapter tonight, what would that chapter be?
She is throwing them at me. Let me see. Let's see. So the chapter I want them to read tonight is chapter 2. It's called The Fallacy of Powering Through. And I see y'all felt that. Y'all felt that. I want everybody to read that chapter first because I think that helps you to understand and make it real why stopping is necessary.
Okay. Now, is there a sentence or a passage that gives you chills every time you read it?
Chills. I don't know if it gives me chills, but I think that there are a couple of passages where I think when you read it, you're like, okay, it makes sense, or okay, like this is what I need to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, last time we talked in our previous interview, we talked about how people connect their worth with how much they produce. So why do you think that we've become so uncomfortable with just being still in this stop?
Because of that very thing, because when we look at social media, when we look at the news, when we look at society, it is how many jobs do you have? How many businesses do you have? How many things are you doing? And so we equate that to who we are and how we show up in the world. And so we're conditioned to that as well. And so, with that, we just see it so much that we don't really realize that is exactly, we need to be doing the opposite, right? We don't have to be doing all the things, but also that there is, again, we're productive when we're sitting still and recovering.
Okay. Now, before I finish and go to some more questions, I do want to open it up to the audience to ask you some questions that they may have for you. Can you talk about chapter 2? She's like, give me a head start right now.
Okay, so I need to go to, okay, what would you like to know about chapter 2? Okay, why chapter 2?
I think when you said that whole powering through is something that I know me and my clients is kind of like, well, I just got one more thing to do. Let me just finish. And then sometimes it's like you get frustrated in that part, but you still just want to finish and power through it because I don't know. It feels like it's like this invisible weight that's always holding you down. And sometimes it's like you don't know how to necessarily stop because you're so laser focused on getting it done.
Right. So the reason why that chapter is so important is because when we are just powering through, when we see the goal, sometimes what happens at the end of it is that we are so exhausted from the journey that when we get there, we cannot be present enough to appreciate what we just did. And so then we're like on to the next thing because that burned us out so much, we don't want to touch it. So if we shift how we get through that journey, if we pause more, if we say, I'm going to get to that goal, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to be present along the way, it really changes how we embrace the outcome. Okay.
Anyone else?
Yes.
How do you help others around you come around to that journey that you're on around pausing, right? Because you could acknowledge, I'm tired, I need space, but how do you help others around you perceive that in a really productive and healthy thing for you?
Okay. So you're asking like you want to have more space for it, but you need other people to receive that you need that space.
Exactly.
So I think it's saying that you need that space. I think it's also not asking for permission for that space. I think when we think about pausing, we ask for permission. We say, well, when they get it, when they can see it, then I'll stop. They don't have to see it, it's yours. And so what happens is you be the example. So you create the space for it and you say, I'll be back. Or you create the space for it and you say, you know what, this may help you too. But I think if we're waiting on everything to align and everyone to agree, it's not going to happen.
That was good. A question that I have is when it comes to pause, correct me if I'm wrong, that doesn't have to be like a full day or a full week. It could be 10 minutes. But how do you make that 10 minutes, 5 minutes intentional?
Mm-hmm. So I think it's where you do it. So if you can do it by yourself, I always tell my clients, like, when you wake up in the morning, I need you to check on you before your feet hit that floor. Because what we do is we wake up and we think about how many emails came through or how many things we have to do. When you wake up in the morning, check on yourself. Do a body scan. How do I feel? Is something hurting? What are my emotions? Before you even get into anything, before you pick up your phone, right? All those things, like give yourself, just sit with yourself if you have that space to do it. And if or you could be, you got to your next destination and you sat in the car for 10 minutes or you drove in silence. I'm good for that. You drove in silence because your commute served as that moment from one thing to the next, but you gave yourself that time because you didn't overstimulate yourself with, answering your phone or with music or anything like that. It's for some people that's helpful.
Mm-hmm. And how do you, I guess, recognize when you need to pause? Because sometimes people may be, I'm fine, I can do it, I'm fine, I feel good, I feel energized. But what signs do you see where it's like, no, you need to pause?
I mean, so there are some signs where, maybe you're just more irritable. Maybe you feel exhausted. Like maybe you got 10 hours of sleep, but you wake up and you still feel the dread and you still feel like you're really exhausted. And so that pause could be, it's not sleep, it's not the problem, right? There's something else that's going on. And so where you can feel those physical symptoms sometimes, or just the mental overload where you can't, think of anything, you can't hold a thought long, and you're just going from one thing to the next very quickly. Those are good signs that you need to pause.
Okay. Now, what would you like everyone in here before we wrap up and get to the book signing to take away from this book once they get it and read it tonight? I know she's going to read it tonight. So
so I want everybody can benefit from this. This is not specific to any situation, any person. Anyone can benefit from it. I think it's really trying to not only give ourselves the moment and give ourselves time, but also then how do we teach our families? How do we teach those around us, right? So sometimes we have to be the example. But I think that anyone can benefit from it, and there's never a perfect time. So whether you start your book today or whatever that looks like, start small and build up, but there's never going to be the perfect moment or the perfect time to start to do these things. And consistency is key, right? We think you may not have time for the next trip, but if those 15 minutes a day can give you what you need and can start to like build that capacity, then that's the important part. And your journey, your pause is yours. So that's your journey. So don't compare it to somebody else's. Sit in whatever you need to sit in and just let it be.
Okay. Well, I think that we're ready to go ahead and get to this book signing.
So
Yes.
we have, if you need to stop your production, you can. We have some questions that came in from
Oh,
the virtual audience.
Okay.
So may I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
Okay, one person inquired, how can we recognize the difference between taking a restorative pause and simply avoiding difficult situations or responsibilities?
Okay. So that's a great question. That's actually, we talk about that in the book. How can you do that? So I think it's when we think about avoidance, right? We think about when I'm sitting in that pause and the thoughts are coming, right? But I'm trying to distract myself. I have to now busy myself, right? That's the avoidance piece. That when we're pausing and we shift to another thing, that's avoiding. But when we're pausing and we're sitting in it, and we might start to journal and say, okay, these thoughts and feelings are sitting on me. Now you're sitting in it. But if we pause and we're like, oh, let me scroll, that's actually not giving you what you need. That's avoiding.
We have another question that asks, was there a particular chapter or lesson in the book that was most difficult for you to write because it required you to be vulnerable or revisit your own experiences?
No, I don't think it was difficult for me to write. Anybody that knows me, like I'm pretty open. So I've had what I can say is that because I've had a lot of pivotal moments in my life that required pausing, I think that my experience has allowed me to really write the book in a way that I can tell you tried and true. I've tried it, I've had those moments, and they work.
Okay, look at you the next question is, if someone has never intentionally prioritized their own well-being, what is one small step they can take this week to begin living out the principles of your book?
If they've never given themselves those moments, um, start to create those moments. So again, whether it's a small step, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes, create those moments. So start small and build up. But I also think it's kind of what she talked about before about like not waiting on permission, just giving yourself those moments, creating, because it's never going to be the perfect time.
I have a question. How important or how seriously should people be taking this? Because I think sometimes we overlook how people, we've made ourselves sick and even died from overwork and overstressing things. And I don't want to make it grim, but I think it's a serious piece that people should really take a moment to really consider how it connects to their health and their diet and their rest and sleep and their family and being present for their family. Could you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually something I think in the beginning of the book, I talk about when I am introducing the pause. It's the science of stillness. And so, what you're talking about is the manifestation of that go, go, go. We're not giving breaks, we're not giving rest. And then she asked a question about what are some signs? Well, the physical signs start where you might start to have, headaches, you might have heart palpitations, you might have physical things happening, and so your body is starting to break down. And so restoring your body is important, whether it's a small moment or a big moment. And so the reason why this is so important is because I don't want us to wait until we have built that up or we're in crisis mode or we're burned out to do that. I want us to make those small changes so that we can prevent those health issues that can come up, or just that mental load that can happen when we're not giving that to ourselves. And yes, if you go, research shows it happens, right? That burnout is real. But if we can start to make small changes, then we can build that capacity where we don't get to that, or it increases our awareness where we can see it coming. Yes.
Okay, so you talked about, you mentioned before about not waiting on permission.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk a little bit about like I'm assuming that maybe you can have some guilt when you are waiting on assurance or permission from other people to take that space. So can you talk about what it feels like when you set that boundary and go take that time for yourself, with respect to the grief, the guilt that you are afraid you might feel? Does that make sense?
It does. You're always going to be on the receiving end of somebody's disappointment. So you cannot make everyone happy, right? And so I don't care how you spin it to them, how you lay it out to them, there's always going to be something. And so when I say you don't need permission to do that, it's really, you can't go, write a list of why you are worthy of this thing. You are, but we have to teach people we are. And that is not asking for permission. That is saying, I will be back, or I'm setting the boundary of, here is what I'm going to do today. And then the rest of the time, I'm going to go take care of myself. That boundary that you're setting is you're showing them that I value the time that I need. And then you're teaching them to start to value that.
I have one more question.
Okay.
How important is curating the people around you and like your team? We like to believe that some people like to believe that they're self-made and whatnot, but we all know that it takes your family and friends. And how important is that in curating those pieces around you and helping to manage your stress and not let it get out of hand?
Yeah, so that's important. I think we look at those around us that are sources of stress. And then those around us that who give us room to breathe and to de-stress. And so having more of those people that give you room, that don't help create the stress, but also those that can see it coming. So sometimes we have those people that kind of know us better than we know ourselves, right? And they're like, oh, I think you need a moment. And being able to have those people that can see it when you can't, to encourage you to go and actually take care of yourself. So it's really important. And then that's where the boundaries come in. If we have too many people in our circle that are sources of stress, you need a different circle. Or you need to look at, why am I surrounded by so much stress and so much chaos? So maybe that's a time to reflect on yourself and think about, why do I have these people in my space?
I have one last follow-up. How much did Monty stress you out during
So that's funny. I will give him credit. Y'all, he's talking about my husband. I will give him credit. He has tapped me on my shoulder many times and been like, but that's not what you needed. So I will give him kudos for seeing those moments where I said one thing and then he would counter me with, but that's not what you need. And so that was really helpful. Yeah. We had a question back here.
I had a question about like tools that we can use in the pause. I don't know if the pause is supposed to be like doing nothing, because I'm too productive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those kind of people, I just can't be unproductive.
Yes.
I try so hard. So in my pause, I journal,
Mm-hmm.
meditate, which is the most I can do to
Okay.
like do nothing in the doing nothing.
Yes.
Are there other tools that you would recommend?
Yes, there are tools in every chapter.
Okay.
And then in the back of the book, I have the toolkit that kind of refreshes you on every tool that I introduced along the way, but then also how can you apply that tool in your daily life. So there is a whole section for that.
Just for me.
Yes, just for you.
Like you're not alone.
Yeah.
I did want to ask, I know you have, I think it's chapter 7, bringing pause into relationships.
Yes.
So when it comes, because it seemed like it may be easier to take that pause, kind of what she was asking, take that pause from like friends or somebody, but like your husband or your kids, where it's like you're telling your kids like, mommy needs some time, or daddy needs some time, and it's like, how you asking for me time and I didn't ask to be here, now you need me time.
Right. Oh, okay. So how do you tell your family? Like,
close people that are important, because friends, you can tell them like I need a break, but your husband, your wife, your kids that are there and need you, how do you communicate that without asking for permission per se?
you just say it. You say, mommy will be right back. You say, here is where I'm at. Here is what I need. I think you have to say your need and then open space for them to receive it. I think sometimes we think that they're going to automatically have an issue with it, but just open space for it. I think the more you do it, you create space for it, the easier it is to say, I'll be right back. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not going to feel a type of way sometimes. However, I think the refresh you is appreciated more when you come back after that pause. But I think the other part is that, again, they're getting that version of you that has had a moment to recover. Yes, ma'am.
When I try to pause, sometimes I find myself just going into a version of problem solving. So I think I'm going to take a break from a work project, but then when I'm sitting still, I'm thinking about, here are the steps I need to follow, here's a different way to think about it. How do you get your mindset in that moment of pause from problem solving to just more of a reflective or a still moment?
Because the pause that you're talking about is you sitting thinking of other things that other people need. What I want you to do is sit with yourself and say, what do I need? Like, why do I feel so stressed right now? Or why do I feel this way? And then like turning it to you And then you can start to say, oh, okay. And the moment you find yourself drifting, kind of come on back, which is why journaling or writing some things down might be helpful, because it's getting you to focus more on, like, why do I want to sit here in this moment? Or why do I need this? Or what's going on with me, right? And so it's really detaching yourself from the work problems or the external things.
Any questions over here? Like you got some questions. Okay.
I think
What?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
No. I thought Chloe was coming in to wrap us
Do we
up.
have some more audience?
No, that was the last one.
Okay.
Okay. But gave room for a lot of questions in here, which was great.
What, is this like amazing?
Yes.
So next what we're gonna do, we're gonna give Dr. Garside a moment to transition down to the book signing. So Jenna, the founder of this location, Moniek announced earlier that everybody gets a day pass to the red spot. So she's gonna give everybody a tour of the she sheds outside. And then we'll circle back in, and then it'll be time for the book signing portion, and you'll get your day pass with your purchase of the book. Okay? All right. Thank you, everybody.
You want me to come? Oh, you said right here. Okay. Hi, friend. Yeah. I think it flowed really nicely, right?
You have really good questions out here.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you. You did good. Thank you.
Is this the first stop, the first book signing?
Yeah.
Are you going to like travel?
I think we have space for it. I just got to figure out like what it's gonna look like. But I think so. Yeah, I like
Here at the red spot, when she sent me the flyer, I was like, that's a good idea.
You know,
No,
I
that's
mean,
really
it's
good.
perfect. Yeah, and I love a good intimate group. You know what I mean? Where it's not too big, where people feel like they can ask questions and connect. You know, because sometimes it just gets too big, and then it's like I want people to feel like they walked away. You know,
Something personable. I like it.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. I love it, and thank you. You know, for your good questions, and it feels good though because like we've already talked, so it's kind of like just kind of going through it again, right?
I wanted it to more so get into like the book, like chapter book, because we were talking about you and everything as a whole.